So now then, based on the preview, the next episode, or at least next episodes, look like they're going to be incredibly exciting, right? Because as we see, Unique is out the way. Ronnie put Pernessa on to the reality that, Unique was stepping out on her with RAQ. I didn't think that she had it in her to pop up on RAQ's doorstep, right? Like, I was thinking, based on last season and how shook RAQ had her just looking at her in the bodega, that, like, she wasn't going to want that smoke. But here we see it, probably as a result of, I'm guessing, when this takes place in the next episode, that probably a few days or so have gone by, and Unique is probably missing, and so Pernessa, I guess, in her desperation, pops up at RAQ's house, brandishing a gun. I didn't think that she had it in her. And it's like, it's this thing I have when you watch TV shows and you have these characters living these kinds of lives. It's like the same thing with, like, Top Boy. You're a hustler. You're out here doing all kinds of stuff. You killed all kind of people. You done beat people up. You got all kind of drama. You got enemies and whatnot out here. And someone knocks at your door and you just go and you open it up. You don't look through the peephole to see who it is. Because, at least from the clip, how and why would you even be opening the door for Pernessa? Like, you used to be out in the streets, you have, like, the feds poking around. You've got these 2 police officers trying to shake you down. It's like we saw in the 5th episode where RAQ is, like, checking herself in the mirror on the way out the door, but she opens the front door without looking out and is surprised to see the cops on her doorstep, right? Because it didn't seem like they knocked. It seemed like she opened the door right as they arrived. In the preview for the next episode, we see that she opens the door and Pernessa comes in with, like, a gun pulled out. I take it you didn't look through the peephole, right? To see, like, why would Pernessa be at your doorstep? And this is what I said about it, that you've moved from Southside to out wherever it is that you're living now, somewhere out in Long Island, it seems. How is it that all of these people know where you live? And why is it that Pernessa shows up at your house and you open the door to let her in? What could she possibly have to say to you? And it's like she rushes in and it's like she's brandishing a gun. Like, RAQ is usually armed, or at least in previous seasons carries, like, a gun in her purse, but not necessarily, like, on her person, right? And especially not when she's in the house. She's probably got, like, guns tucked away somewhere, probably in the kitchen, in her nightstand drawer, different places in the house. But, like, she's not carrying when she's in her house, right? But, and especially probably now, not, since she's, like, done with the street stuff. It's like, you got too comfortable too quick, man. Because it's like, what if that had been Ronnie? Now, Unique has died, let's assume, because that's what it looks like from the end of the 5th episode. And Ronnie is out here still seeing RAQ as a threat. And Unique didn't give her that heads up. So how is that going to play out? Like, you've got this threat out here. You've got this guy out here that sees you as someone that he needs to get out of the way. And she's unaware of it. Like, that's part of why I felt like the situation between RAQ and Unique was problematic. Because with someone like Symphony, Symphony isn't involved in the street stuff as well, at all. With someone like Symphony, he's not involved in the street stuff at all. It provides an easier way for her to completely remove herself from the streets. RAQ being involved with Unique is still involved in the streets. Whether directly or indirectly, it's just a bunch of opportunity for drama to come her way. And here it is, right? Where it's like, it's going to be that much harder for her to get out of this business, out of this street stuff, being involved with someone like Unique, because he's still in the thick of things. And it's like, you look at it that he died and didn't, without giving her the full heads up. Like, he dropped some knowledge about Ronnie, but still held back on telling her, like, hey, my brother might be a problem for you. You know, he didn't get a chance to tell her, like, hey, my brother created some static for you with Pernessa. We'll see how that plays out. You know, now, up to this point, Kanan had been selling weed, but Ronnie put the idea in his head about heroin, right? And I feel like we see someone with like packages of drugs. It's unclear. It's possible that might be Ronnie, because we see the couple from last episode, someone speaking to them and about, you know, making a bunch of money. I'm guessing that's more Ronnie. So it's possible that these packages of drugs belong to him. But at the same time, I can see Kanan kind of taking that idea, the mere mention of it, and putting that into play, moving on to lead to something else. But it remains to be seen how that shakes out in the next episode and the coming episodes. You know, but this drama and tension and him like threatening Famous seems like that's going to continue. You know, where Famous really isn't built for this, and you see, much as like RAQ would try to bully and manipulate our family members, Kanan being one of them, you see him exhibiting the same behavior now with Famous. You know, and it's like, I just kind of feel like Famous might want to get away from Kanan. You know, like, cut your losses and just go on. You guys are not brothers anymore, because that dude's on some nonsense right now. You know? Now, I know for a fact, as hardbody as Kanan thinks he is, I don't think he can pull that with Jukebox. You know, you notice he keeps all of that away from Jukebox. I don't think he's taking that kind of energy to Jukebox. Because it's like, Jukebox might be young, but Jukebox's intelligence, her ability to strategize and think, is just miles ahead of Kanan. Like, they're on completely different levels. So it's like, I see him bullying Famous, and I think that's messed up. But, you know, and that's largely because, like, Famous is weaker than him, you know? But that's to tell you, like, I still think, like, Kanan's, like, he's a chump, you know? He's, like, a bit of a punk. Not to say that he's a coward or anything like that, but up here, it's like, up against real trouble at this point, I don't see him. You know, like, I don't think he could really, him and Jukebox go at it, I don't think he could handle her. You know, not up here. Because she's still miles ahead of him. You know, he can, like, bully someone like Famous. Because Famous needs to just stay in the house and keep out of trouble. You know, go on with your little rap stuff or whatever, but leave this street business alone. And as part of that, I think he needs to get away from Kanan. Now, it looks like RAQ might go to talk to Lou or whatever it is, and maybe, I don't know what her energy is, if it's to confront him. I don't really see why she would be upset with him, or, well, yeah, maybe. You know, like, he owes some money and stuff like that. But, it's going to be interesting to see what the nature of that conversation is between them. You know, where the two of them, instead of RAQ talking to Marvin, or, you know, Lou talking to Kanan or Marvin, but them not talking to each other face to face, because we haven't seen them in the same room together since, the last episode of the second season, when RAQ told Lou that she owned him. It's going to be interesting to see how that conversation plays out. And so with that, it's like, RAQ's problems are just mounting. You know, she's lost one ally, at least for the time being, in the person of Lou, because she can't count on him for any street business. You know, her organization has fallen apart. She doesn't have Scrappy anymore. Marvin is kind of turning over a new leaf. Though for him, you know, it seems like he's continued hustling, and he was getting like some work from Dean, which I think that speaks to Marvin's rep. You know, where Dean cut RAQ off, Dean cut Unique off, but he was still willing to deal with Marvin one-on-one, you know? And with that connect being gone, it's going to be interesting to see what Marvin does now. Because as we see, he's kind of like the last man standing for the Thomases in the streets, because both Lou and RAQ have, at least for the time being, closed up shop. I don't think that bodes well for him, but especially because the feds are milling about. We saw those guys that he spoke to in the first episode that asked him about selling drugs, that like I felt that they were cops or some kind of law enforcement, and we saw that they were the ones taking pictures of RAQ, so they're more likely feds. And so I feel like there's a chance that Marvin might end up getting pulled in by the police. By this point of the Thomases, he's the only one that hasn't had contact with the police this season. But I just feel like the problems are going to continue mounting. And it seems like it's Howard that asked RAQ. I'm guessing they're going to become aware of it that, well, first off, she now knows that Ronnie killed Dean. I'm sure they're going to find out that Unique is now dead and probably going to think that Ronnie had something to do with it. And it's like, now you're out here and this madman is on the loose. You got the feds and the cops watching you. It's understandable if RAQ would be scared at this point, because it's like this dude is just on a rampage, and it's like you got so many different moving pieces and problems that you have and issues that you've created that you now have this unpredictable nutcase out here running around. You have really good reason to be afraid, and it's going to be interesting to see if she's able to somehow get her, figure out a way out of this. But ultimately, the only way I see that happening is somebody's going to have to put Ronnie down. And that seemed like a tall order, because Unique isn't there to try to keep him in check, and who do you really have now that can kind of at least attempt to control him? Seemingly no one. So it's like, I just see him ratcheting up the pressure. And it's like, Kanan thinks that he's ready for that smoke. I don't know if he is. I'm not saying that he's not, but I don't know. Lou is out the game. Really, you just have Marvin. And it's just seeming like we see problems already, but there's just even more on the horizon. And I am here for all of it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. But those are my predictions. Let me know what you think is going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go from here, just because of everything that's happened so far. And with this episode, we're only like halfway through the season. I'm excited to see how the rest of it plays out. Because I know this is just episode 5. And I know that usually when the season gets to like episode 8, episode 9, it's like bedlam, so with a character like Ronnie running around and all of these other people in play, I could just imagine, how things are going to shake out. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know that we're in for some more big surprises. Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell,